Hey everybody, it's Dave, Blue Jacket 66, here for another quick video. I want to get this out of the way real quick, just so it's not too clickbaitish. I'm going to show off a very rare regional issue Mickey Mantle card. I don't think I've shown it before, but it's really exciting. I doubt you've seen the card before. It's talking about rare cards. I got this reputation of completely putting a curse on the word iconic and the card-related lingo for the sports card industry, and I get teased about that a lot. And I know it's all in good fun, and I hate to do the same thing with the word rare and how it's attributed to cards. I think it's way overused, and that's one of the purposes of this video. There are many rare cards out there. John Mangini throws around the word rare the way I throw around F-bombs, but the caveat there is his cards are rare in my eyes. And I think what is rare probably differs from person to person. I want to talk strictly vintage or pre-war, because in my eyes, modern cards and ultra-modern cards, there's no true rarity there. The company decided to print numbers, number runs on cards and stamp on numbers on cards, so you will buy them, so you will pay a lot of money for their product. So they've manufactured rarity, and there's something to be said for that. I mean, I certainly have some modern cards that are stamped with numbers on them, which does make them rare and perhaps attribute some value to them. But in the vintage market, rarity really is something else, and that's what I want to talk a little bit about. And I'd love to hear discussion about this. I don't want to make this a big what is rare card video, because I really just wanted to kind of show off my card, but I'm going to just touch on it a little bit. The reason being was a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, a fellow YouTuber who's kind of an up-and-coming YouTuber, he's got a lot more subscribers than I do, and he does a lot of vintage, and he's becoming more and more knowledgeable, and he's actually written a kind of an educational book of sort as well. But on his video, he had filmed a guest or a shot of someone who had just purchased a beautiful and fabulous PSA 7 1952 Burke Ross mantle. And all the celebration of buying the card, you know, kudos. I agree 100%. And then the YouTuber as well as the guest went on about what a rare card it is. And the guest said how this YouTuber was the go-to guy for vintage. Okay. So I watched that video, and you know me, sometimes I just can't hold my tongue. And when it comes to vintage and when it comes to sports cards, I'm not the police by any sort, and we let 99.9% stuff go. Okay? You want to pretend like PWCC and eBay sales, all those high numbers are real, paid for numbers, go ahead and believe that. There's so much fake news out in the world, and we just roll with it. But on occasion, something where I live, and I've lived in the vintage card market for decades, and so if people are rolling in and out of there dropping fake news bombs, I'm occasionally going to comment on it. And I want to comment on the 1952 Burke Ross mantle that was declared a rare card. So I responded to on the video that I said that is something like, I'm paraphrasing, that is a beautiful card, love it, but it's hardly rare. And the YouTuber answered back something along the lines of, it's really low population and it's really valuable. And then someone else got on there, and so I didn't answer him back because it's his video. I made my statement. My statement means maybe some education here. But I let it go. I didn't want to say anything else. But then someone else hopped on him and messaged me or through that said, yeah, you need to check the population report, and it's a really valuable card. Let's learn one thing. We're going to learn one thing right now. Rarity and value, or what are you saying? There are at times correlation, but many times not. There are tons of rare things in and out of the sports card industry. We'll just stick with the sports card industry that are rare, that are not valuable. There are many cards that are not rare or scarce that are very valuable. Are there rare cards that are valuable? Of course. Are there common cards that are not valuable? Of course. So there's always this intermix. But to say that a card is, because it's rare, is valuable, it's just not true. Or to say this card is valuable, so therefore it's rare, it's just nonsense. So as far as that comment, what can I tell you? I said the card's not rare. You tell me it's value. What does that have to do with anything? Then the other combination, or the comment, was the population port. And I don't want to make this a big rare video. I want to show off my card. But in vintage sports cards and pre-war cards, we do not live in a world of population reports. And actually, we don't live in a big world of grades. Many, many, many. They're not on YouTube. They're not on Twitter. They're not anywhere. They hold the best collections in the world, and they're raw cards. I'm just telling you that. Many, 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 many collectors. And some of the best cards, and maybe some of our collections, are not graded. So grade doesn't have so much to do with it either. In the pre-war world, and this is a generality, most of the cards have low, we'll say populations, not grading populations, just low amounts out there. They're decades, if not 100 years old. Okay. Number two, they weren't made in mass quantities. Three, they were oftentimes, very oftentimes, not the product being sold, but they were just a little, like Cracker Jack cards. They're in the Cracker Jacks to sell the Cracker Jacks. These cards are in candy boxes to sell candy. They're in cigarette packs to sell candy. They weren't massively produced. Of course, the T206 set was. So just inherently, pre-war cards are in low numbers. So we don't live in this world where if there's 500 of something, or 200 or 300, that's rare. That's just not the case. We hold ourselves to a little higher standard on these population numbers in the pre-war world. So they wanted me to look at the population report. I'm not really a population report guy. But I did look at the population. I saw, okay, I'll look at the population report, but don't try to school me on making mantle cards. Don't do it, okay? I know a little bit about a lot of things, a lot about a few things. Don't try to school me on making mantle cards. But he did, so I looked it up. Of the 1952 Burke Ross Mickey Mantle cards, just PSA, I think there's 320 cards graded. That's not rare. That's not rare. And let's just say, what about this PSA 7? That's got to be really rare. We just don't live that way in vintage cards and pre-wear cards. Let's just put it this way. The T213 coupon set, is that rare? Not really. There's three types. There's type 1, 2, and 3. The 2 is the most common. Of the T213s, of all the players, there's like 1,300 cards. Type 1's very few, like 120 of all the players. And of type 3, I think there's more like 250 of all the players. So even those numbers, is a type 1 coupon rare, with there being 120 or so something, us living in the pre-war card realm? Not really rare. You can get one, okay? But what about individual players? Yeah. The most common, as we said, of the T213 coupon cards is the Type 2, which is like 1,200. I own a Ty Cobb. I never looked up the population. I looked up the population today. I think there's 24 of them. The highest grade is a 4. Who has it? Me. Okay. Highest graded Type 2 T213 Cobb. I own it. There's actually 2 of them. So the T213 Type 2 Cobbs, I think, are rare. There's only like 24 of them. And there's far fewer of Type 1s and of course, fewer of Type 2. That's what I consider a rarity. But I don't consider that this, even in the PSA 7 1952 Burke Ross, you know what the population is PSA 7 or higher? 100 cards. So the PSA is graded like 325 of them, and 100 of them are PSA 7 or higher. And they were schooling me about what a rare card this is. It's not a rare card. There's 100 PSA 7s or higher, and there's 320 or so graded just by PSA alone. It's not a rare card. But I think that's a conversation because just because I think, when I think of rare card, I think a rare card, one thing that comes to mind is I haven't seen that at auction in years. That, to me, is a rare card. I've been actually looking. At one point, I was looking for a Type 1 and Type 3 T213 Cobbs. I haven't seen one in years and years and years and years. That's a rare card. A 52 Burke Ross mantle, if I wanted one tomorrow, there'd be one in my doorstep via UPS. They're not rare. Well, just you pin me down what is rare. I think in the pre-rare war era cards, I would guess a population of a player or card, 20 or less, I guess. It all depends. It all depends. There's some series of pre-war cards out there that it's just incredibly rare to get any one of the cards within the set. But I don't consider population of any type of card or player of a card, if it's 50 or more, that's not rare. They hard to get? Yeah. Are they uncommon? Yeah. But they're not so rare. Scarcity is a different thing. Rarity is pretty much a numbers game. Are there a lot of them or are they not? Where scarcity is really a supply versus demand, where you can have rare cards that really don't have much value because there's not a lot of demand for them. And you can have cards that aren't rare that are somewhat scarce because there's such a high demand for them, you just don't see them, even though there may not be low populations. Some rare cards are scarce, and some aren't. And some scarce cards are rare, some aren't. But I think that'd be a good kind of round table conversation. But my point being, you see people throw around the term rare a lot. And it's not okay with me. Do I have to be one of those guys that says everything's okay? It's not okay with me when it's not true. With that being said, we all, I think in our mind, have these kind of parameters. But mine tend to be stricter, especially for pre-war. I mean, if there's 75 at something, it's not scarce. So let's look at a rare card and a scarce card that you've never seen before. It's a regional issue. It's a Mickey Mantle card. I kind of specialize in the regional issues and the food and beverage cards, and Mantle. I try to get all the mantles that are available for those, but there's only a few issues of cards that are dairy related, and you can kind of look those up. But even more specifically, there's only 2 or 3 issues, Hagues, and a couple others that are actually milk. And milk. I mean, as far as dairy, you got Dixie Legs, you got Seal Test, you got all these things. But what about on a milk carton? Well, in 1964, Meadow Gold Dairy on their milk carton printed these cards. You got Mantle, and next to him Koufax. Below Mantle is Mays, and next to Mays is Mazeroski. These are regional single year printing, very low populations, and incredibly rare. The rarest would be finding a panel of all of them. You can theoretically have panels that, you know, someone's cut out that just has Mantle and Mays, or Koufax and Mazeroski, or, you know, you can see how there, but there's just not many of any of them. The Mantle, I think that there are, PSA is graded 24. Here you go. 1964 Meadow Gold Dairy Mickey Mantle. So of course it was cut off of a milk carton, so it's going to be blank back. And I know you haven't seen this before. We'll take a close-up look at it. Don't get your panties in a wad about me and rare and me and iconic. It's just me thinking. Sometimes it's not so fun just to go along with the flow of things. And sometimes if things, you have a little problem with it, I like to hear about it. It's about this. Can we have conversation in this world anymore? So we'll have conversation about it. You can say below or whatever, and I would love to go on a video sometime with somebody and showing off rare cards versus cards that are perceived to be rare that they're not. But I'll go out on a limb and I'll tell you right now, the 1952 Burke Ross set, let alone the Mantle, is not rare. Let's take a look at this rare card. This 1964 Meadow Gold, why can't I say that? Dairy Mickey Mantle. There it is. Hey, I am going to probably reach out to Card EC or some of these people about getting some better production, because as far as education, I've talked to John Mangini, or at least given him a heads up, and I'm going to need probably this summer or fall to be a little more adept at production, because mine is really stinks. Let's see if I can get it close on this without. So cut off a milk carton in 1964. PSA's graded 24 of these. And you may ask, well, how many of them are, I don't know. I have no idea the grades. I didn't even look. The only reason I looked at the population of this is because that dumb Burke Ross thing. And so, yeah, this is low pop. And I knew it was. I mean, it's rare, but pretty cool card. 1964, I'm going to say it right this time. Meadow Gold Mickey Mantle, hand cut off this wonderful milk carton back in the day. Thanks for watching.